Like a soul food feast of all things black, including potato salad, behold the raisins. All Black Everything is a celebration of and nourishment for black people. From heavy to light, All Black Everything encompasses all because black experiences encompass all. Whether considered rap, poetry, or song, these writings are all that in a bag of chips. These pages contain a collection of thoughts ranging in topics from Black history to Black displacement, to Black hair, to Black names, to Black joy and Black pain, to Black drive and Black fight, and Black creativity and Black might. Find the melody within it, rap it, sing it, read it, work to it. Hey, call it poetry, call it rap, call it a story. Birthed out of a love for the dopeness of Black people's cultural riches and a tiredness of hearing how Black folks should and shouldn't be, what Black folks do or shouldn't do. Just be. Celebrate Blackness, because all Black everything be infinitely Black.
Hi, Bejanae.
Hey, Dr. Houston, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. I just love that intro. That was something new. We don't normally do that for our power of collaboration. So I'm excited. We spicing things up a little bit for tonight.
We are, and we'll have to think about that the next time. Check to see if there is a book trailer, and we can use those for our intros. And I'm trying to get us shared through to my page. So if you would go ahead and introduce yourself, and then I'll get started.
Absolutely. So, hey everyone, my name is Bejanae Kareem. I am the grant guru here to help authors get their books into schools by way of grants. And we have my fabulous co host here, Dr. Sheka Houston, our educator expert, also helping to get your books into schools. She knows the code. She knows the language, the Da Vinci Code, everything you need. So you want to stay tuned all the way to the end. And what she's doing right now is helping to broadcast our live stream and our author showcase on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or LinkedIn. So if you have any of those socials, you definitely want to tap in. So this is your official invitation to jump on any of those platforms and join us, as well as share it out. Please share out. And don't forget to also visit our websites. We're at, you can find Dr. Sheka Houston and her partner, Tammy Taylor, at www.createandeducate, all one word, .solutions. Or you can find me at bkconsultancy.org. And you can follow all of our handles by scrolling to the bottom of our pages and clicking, or you can click on the link in our bios on our social, and it'll take you exactly to where you want to go. So what we'll be doing tonight is just giving out some tips and some tricks on how to get books into schools, how to tap into grant funding to increase your reach. And also, you'll be able to hear from an amazing author. You just saw the book trailer, and learn a little bit about their author journey and have them share out some tips to other authors as well. So as you can tell from that book, we are highlighting a poetry based book. And so I'm going to pass it back over to Dr. Houston to talk to us a little bit more about what you'll experience for tonight.
Thank you, Bejanae. And at Create and Educate and our partnership with BK International Consultancy, we love to connect educators and parents to great resources. As a school administrator, I've been in education for, this is my 19th year now. One of the things that we are as educators, a lot of times are traditionalists. So we usually order books from the same catalogs. We usually do lots of the same things. And my partner, the co-host of the Collaborative and the Real Academy, Tammy Taylor, and I wanted to do some things differently, thinking outside of the box. So we have been intentional about seeking out self-published authors, books that would intentionally, we would be able to connect our students to, because we know how important cultural relevancy is. And we had to be intentional about seeking out those types of books to make sure they were a part of the classrooms. It's important for students to be able to connect to text, to be able to take that reading to the next level, for them to be able to relate it to their backgrounds and see themselves in books. And there's a graphic put out by the library journal, school library journal association, I think, that shows what small percentage of people of color are actually depicted in children's books. So when we think about some of our problems in literacy, we know that connecting to text is one of the issues, because there's not many resources that we know about. As we have found, there's several, we just don't have them in schools. So we have this platform, as well as our newsletter, to be able to connect parents and educators to these great resources and make sure that all of our students can see representation in books and literature and text. So we are excited to have Miss Chanel Murray with us. She is a poet, and we're going to bring her up.
And while you're bringing her up, I want to tell everybody a little bit more about BK International.
Okay.
And we're so excited to have Chanel, our featured author for tonight. And we just had a connection backstage at BK International. Our focus is on helping to increase student access to innovative education.
And Bejanae, I don't mean to interrupt you, like a little, there's something with the sound. It almost sounds like a straw or something.
Oh, I'm not sure. Let me turn it up. Does it sound any better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if you're hitting the chords when you're talking. That's what
that might be it.
I think that's it.
Okay. So at BK International, our focus is to amplify education equity and increase students' access to innovative education. And one of the things that Chanel and I connected on is about STEM and STEAM education. So science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And we help to support school systems, school leaders, and teachers help to build their capacity through coaching, training, self-paced courses, and even toolkits such as our award-winning 12 Quick Steps to Writing Winning Classroom Grants, to help them to be able to get the materials and tools that they need to create those innovative STEM-based learning spaces. So I can't wait for Chanel to share more about her journey and her book and all those connections that we talked about backstage about STEM, the STEM connection. So welcome, Chanel.
Yes, thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
Thank you. We are so excited to have you. And I placed in our advertisement for today that we actually, Tammy and I, feature your poem during a conference, the Black Educators Rock virtual conference. And it was very well received. Many people asked about where they could find the poem, and we shared your book link because we never share things out of people's books that we've been given permission to read. But we told them where they could buy the book and that the poem was located in there. And I think the name of the poem was Black Is. Is that one of the?
Yes.
Yeah. And we thought it was very fitting for that conference. So tell everybody a little bit about yourself. What inspired you to become a poet? And are these your only book offerings? Tell us a little bit about yourself as a poet and an author.
Sure. So, yes, I am an educator first. And during COVID, and one of my let's go back. One of my loves is to learn about Black history. I didn't learn it growing up in school. I mean, I could maybe think of maybe Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks, maybe, and even in that, it was just not the full picture. It was very there were a lot of things that were missing that I had to learn later in life. And so as an adult, I find myself getting another education, educating myself on the history that wasn't learned. And Black history is American history. It's world history. It's those pages that are just ripped out that we are not taught. And just as a society, it's a disservice to everyone when we're not taught that history. So whenever I find out about something like that, I'm always joining those classes, wanting to learn more. And I noticed that when I learn more, how you just develop a stronger sense of self, when what, what your culture brings to this world, that when that our history just didn't start at enslavement, that we've had a long-standing history way before that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I know if that's what it does for me, then what can that do for others? What can that do for students? And how can we have it where they don't need to wait till when they're an adult to learn? And so when
Right.
we check in with ourselves, it's like, if you had to like grade yourself on like knowing Black history, like where are you if you take that test for yourself, And it's like
Mm-hmm.
where nothing much has really changed in the educational system when it comes to that. Maybe Black History Month, they're throwing some stuff, but but as much as your kids are learning math each day, they're not learning about their history. Um, and so we need to change that. And what inspired me to write this, it was during COVID, so lockdown, going on a lot of walks. And when I was going on those walks, I had this phrase that kept coming in my head. It was "we resisted." And it's around whenever we learn about our emancipation, it's always, an Abraham Lincoln freed the enslaved people. I'm trying to be strategic and not say, or intentional with not saying slaves, because we were enslaved.
Right.
That was a condition.
Mm-hmm.
And so to give our ancestors their humanity, they were enslaved. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's always Abraham Lincoln. But the credit doesn't go to our ancestors that put pressure on the system from the get-go, from the shores of Africa. And to this day, we're still resisting. And how
Mm-hmm.
empowering is that to know, all of the ways in which we've resisted. And
Yes.
so when I kept hearing we resisted, I wrote that down. I had some ideas. I went to bed the next day. I woke up and I knew exactly how to write it. And it was coming through poetry. It wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to write a poem today and I'm going to write a book. It wasn't like that at all, because if I would have known that I was writing a book maybe at that time, I probably would have shied away from it. It
Mm-hmm.
wasn't something a book journey was not something that I had ever even thought about. And
Mm-hmm.
so no, yeah, and writing poetry, the same thing. So it came out like that. And then more ideas about things that I felt that I wanted people to unpack, to related to like our names, like how
Mm-hmm.
often if you're named a certain way, Black people get clowned. Oh, your name is Shaniqua, or your name is this, or your name is that. And it's like, why are we doing that? Like, so
Mm-hmm.
why is society doing that to us, I should say. And so like reclaiming the beauty in these things and doing things different,
Mm-hmm.
and just and how Black just could be so many different things. It's not one thing. It's, if you're a Black person, whatever you do is a Black thing, because Black is not just one thing. Um so yeah, it started off with that poem, and then it
Mm-hmm.
led to more poems. And then by the end, I'm like, I have a collection. And the universe is like, yeah, because you was writing a book, we just didn't tell you. Like, so that's
Well, it is a phenomenal book. We love it. And your poetry is just really so, it goes into so much depth. It has a lot of depth to it. And that's why we chose one of your poems to read. And we did that two-person voice at the conference. And it was very well received and very
thank
fitting
you
for
for
that.
doing that. Yes,
Yeah,
I
for
appreciate
that
that.
that platform, Black Educators Rock Black is. And I actually, because I use your poetry, and I was going to get into this too, because it not only is helpful for if schools or a lot of places are big now into this diversity and equity, the things that should have been happening.
Mhm.
They're having a lot of committees formed. So you see that the DEI on websites now for corporations, for schools. But, we have to move forward past just making that a statement, and actually do some things to really be inclusive and actually have diversity and equity in our organizations. And your book is one way to be able to do that when teachers are trying to find ways to, put something in that's culturally relevant or integrate that as a part of the lesson, because that's what you should be doing. The lesson should be relevant to everyone that's sitting in front of you. So if there are Black and brown children sitting in front of you, the lessons should be culturally relevant, and you should try to know as much about their culture as possible. And poetry it's a great way to do that. It's a great way for them to delve into it, look at it. It could be included in history as well as literature lessons.
Yeah.
So I love that you have the discussion guide as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So the discussion guide. So after I wrote the book, the educator in me was like, you got to write a discussion guide. I'm like, I thought it was done. Right. So, because I wanted people to be able to unpack the poems. Right. So, unpack the poems to lead you to want to learn more. And then there's an action guide that goes, so it's the discussion and action guide. So it's like, now you read this poem about whatever the topic is, about hair or gentrification. Now, who can you plug in to learn more? So I feature some Black businesses that you can plug into with. I also have maybe some other books that you can read, some documentaries to check out. So that way you can extend your learning. And just like challenges the reader to just not just read the book and then put it down and it's a nice read. It's like, okay, what kind of action can we all do? Because if we're all doing some action, that's what makes things change.
Right.
Yeah.
And what age range would you say that your book is most appropriate for?
I would say high schoolers. I would say adults as well. So people that just want to learn more, to unpack these different themes. It would depend on if it's a middle schooler, that would depend on, I guess,
maturity.
The maturity of it. But then I had a parent. And one of the poems, because one of the poems I have is kind of, it has a blank. So it's like Black people, Black people like blank. And it's just like, and it says, insert any sport. Black. So the whole point is to say.
Kind of like a Mad Lib or something?
Yeah, something similar to that, where it's the point of it is whatever you like is Black.
Right.
Whatever you do is Black.
I love that.
And so she uses that, and her kids, I think they're 7, and
wow.
so she said that she uses that as like a daily affirmation type thing.
Oh wow.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So that sounds like that's great for parents as well as maybe even parents who are homeschooling as well.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. When it's poetry, there's so many things that it could be used for. Like you said, the affirmations. It could be used for literature lessons, history lessons, or introducing something at a conference, or even working with adults on our diversity, equity, and inclusion committees. Just looking at some of those things, and even in the discussion guide, helping to really start conversations that may be uncomfortable for people. It's a way to approach it through that poetry and through that discussion guide that makes that comfort level maybe bring down, walls a little bit.
I agree with that. Yeah, definitely.
I really love your work. Like I said, your poems go into so much depth and just really have so much girth to them. So I advise everyone to pick up a copy. We're going to put that in the link. The links in the comments of where you can purchase, and you're going to share 2 poems with us.
Yes.
And tell us a little bit about, what you're going to share, set that up for us.
Sure. I'm going to share the first one remember when I said it was like a nagging, we resisted, and I just started to write this. So this was the first poem that I wrote um, for this book before I knew it was going to be a book. And so
Okay.
that's the first one I'll share with you all. And it's called We Resisted.
Okay.
On the African shores, we resisted. Throwing ourselves overboard, we resisted. Ship yourself in a box with stamps, we resisted. Burning down death work camps, we resisted. Knowledge of botany to create potions, we resisted. It's not martial arts, it's dance motions. We resisted. Margaret Garner's children won't be enslaved. We resisted. Would rather see them safe in the grave. We resisted. Hide in an attic for 7 years. We resisted. Robert Smalls' freedom ship he will steer. We resisted. Braid escape routes in our hair. We resisted. Follow Big Dipper in the air. We resisted. Freedom songs in code. We resisted. Led to the Underground Railroad. We resisted. Drapetomania, the said cause. We resisted. Wanting freedom made us the outlaws. We resisted. Tours to speak about our pain, shining light on the institution inhumane. Remember, they didn't wake up out of nowhere compelled. We weren't set free. We freed ourselves.
Okay. Okay. You
Thank
better
you.
get it, Chanel. You better get it.
And you see that fire on the screen there. So people are loving it. And the fact that the resistance, those things were not talked about intentionally. So I love the fact that you know, have highlighted that, because people need to know more about resistance and how that took place, because those were, you know, kept quiet for a reason, because the empowerment, of course, was not the goal.
And I love those small threads and connections with the STEM. So talking about those maps, right, and astrology and all those, like I love it. It just all comes together. Hair, everything.
Yes,
Great
yes,
job. Excellent.
yes,
Mhm.
yes. And as far as like with the discussion guide,
Mhm.
you know, some of the questions around that go around like what is because I mentioned it's not martial arts, it's dance motions. I'm referencing to capoeira. Like what, so how
That's right.
clever was our
Bringing the
ancestors? It's
steam,
like, look,
right.
we're just dancing. It's like
No,
that's a form of martial arts. We
right, exactly.
It
Take
is.
you
And
down. Exactly.
I
yeah.
use capoeira in some of my workouts that I do. So I
Hmm.
love that.
And then I talk about you know, what are ways in which we've resisted in the past, and how do we see that happening now, you know? So, you know, because that way it's because it does happen now. So let's
Mhm.
give dues to like what is it, what people in our community are doing now. um
Mhm.
and yeah, so that's just yeah, it just talks about that. And then it also, you know, it says as far as actionable items, because remember I mentioned like some actions. So actions could be research the cleverness of the secret messaging contained in the songs of the Underground Railroad, example Wade in the Water, different
Mhm.
songs like that. These are codes. So,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you
They
know,
are.
so it's like leading people to want to learn more about that. Yeah.
I love that. So you had your first iteration and then you had an extension to it. So, you unintentionally became this author. So I want to ask you, what is the most valuable tip that you would offer other authors or budding authors?
Okay. Okay. Tip. Okay. Okay. Can I give two?
Sure, give us
Sure.
two.
Okay.
Give us two.
So one, when it comes to writing, because actually I shied away from writing. I shied away from it. Um,
Me too.
I shied away from it because of the limitations that I felt were placed on me as far as your writing needs to be like this and you need to write it like all of that was just,
Mhm.
even as an educator, it just made me just shy away from it. I just saw it as like homework. I'm like, I'm done with school. I'll teach it or whatever, but I'm not interested in it as, or I'll do it as journaling. But as far as writing something, I just wasn't interested. I had to throw that all out. And I had to think about like authors like Zora Neale Hurston and how she wrote how she wanted to write. Like
Mhm.
and so I would say throw it all out and like if you can tell a story, you can write. If you can speak, you can write. And just or if you have thought, you can write. And so
Mhm.
just like throw out any of the rules that you think that are limiting you. Throw them completely out and just do it how you want to do it.
I love that. I love
I
Yeah.
that.
love that too.
And look, you have a question. So there's a question
Yes.
from the audience. What audience age were you thinking about when you wrote?
When I wrote that, I don't think I was thinking of, was I thinking of a specific age? Was I thinking of a specific age? I don't know if I was thinking of a specific age. I was just
Just
thinking
getting it
in
out. Sound like you were just
general.
trying to
I was
get
just
it
getting
out.
it out. I was just
Yeah.
thinking in
Mhm.
general, just like how dope are we? Like, look at all of the things that we've done and like, and just let's celebrate that. If you're going to teach about enslavement, teach about the insurrections. Like, don't forget about that. Like, teach about that. Teach about, so yeah, I think it was just I wasn't thinking about a specific age. So I don't think this limits you to it. It doesn't limit you to a specific age, our
Mhm.
history. So it's, you know, and with poetry and it being such like, little, it's a quick read. The book is a quick read. So if you're not a reader where it's like, I don't have the time or whatever, or some people just aren't like, sit down readers, and that's okay.
Mhm.
With poetry is just, it's a quick read. So it's not something where it's going to take you a long time to get through it. And thinking about struggling readers too, it's a good entry
Mm,
point for struggling readers, because it's given high impact um knowledge,
mhm.
Right.
and it's condensing it. And that's how I like my stuff. I'm like, just give me my stuff.
Right, right.
Pull it
And
all
short
right.
phrases, right? Has a
Right.
rhythm to it, which is catchy, I
Yeah.
know, for kids or
Yeah.
just for anybody. Have you
Hmm.
It-
considered getting any grants by any chance to help get your books out there to schools or to wherever?
I'm down for some grants.
Okay.
We're
Because
always down for the free money.
yeah, yeah, because as Dr. Houston mentioned, there are so many different avenues that you could tap into funding for. We know
Mhm.
literacy is a staple, right? Period.
Hmm.
But you have culturally relevant texts, which is very super important. It could even fall under social emotional learning, like being able to
Yes.
understand
Yes. Yes.
self-awareness, social
Mhm.
studies. I mean, the list goes on with what you have there that you could find grants for specific for you as an author, either to continue your works. If
Hmm.
you feel so inspired to add on and extend, maybe make a series or whatever it is,
Hmm.
or to simply purchase, because we know it costs to have those books printed and shipped,
Yes.
Mhm.
that you can get them out into schools and have some partnerships that way. So,
Yeah.
just an idea, and I'll put something in chat just to
Thank
give
you
you
for
an
that. I appreciate
example.
all that.
Yeah,
And when you talk
exactly.
about, yeah, when you're talking about schools with the discussion and action guide, it just would really help educators because you have this set, okay,
Exactly.
and it's like you already have a guide on discussion
That's
questions.
right.
Right.
You already have it. It's already spelled out for you. And
That's
now
right.
it's just like you
And
could just
teachers, we
time to
want
actually
that,
have the
right?
conversations.
Right.
We do.
Our time is to the
Yes.
brim with things, responsibilities, things that we're
Mhm.
juggling. To have something
Mhm.
from an educator
Mhm.
who understands education and what kids need in that impactful way, that's excellent. That's an excellent tool, resource, and guide.
And my background is business, so don't ever forget about connecting with those corporations. DEI is something that you definitely can connect your
Mhm.
books and discussion guides to, because I think every company now has a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee formed now that
Mhm.
things have transpired in our nation. But you have another question. When did you realize the power of your writing?
The power of my writing. When did I realize it? Um, That's a good question. Um, I think it's not just a one like at one moment. It happened at different moments. So I know when I'm writing it, like when all of a sudden it was just like coming through, like, and I just knew how to write it, and that's how the book went. I'm like,
Mhm.
and then I would read it back, and still I'll read some of these things, and I just feel the emotion in me, like I can feel it, like
Mm.
I want to cry, like I'm
But
like,
poetry does have that effect on people. It really moves people.
Mhm.
yeah,
And when you think about song lyrics, how it's really just it's poetry to music, and how
Mhm.
moving music is to people. So it really is something that can connect with people on several levels.
yeah, and then I've just been also surprised. Like, I just remember I read my poem somewhere, and there was a white guy. He stopped me and he said, "What is your name again? Because I want to give this to my wife so she can get your book." Um, he was saying how for his grandkids he wants to teach them, and his grandkids are black, and it was just yeah, it was just sometimes you get just yeah from
Mhm.
it just surprises you, just the
Yeah,
different people that are interested,
So it sounds like you're
Good
coming into the
mixes.
realization of the power of your
yeah,
writing. Sounds like
Yeah,
it's an ongoing
right.
yeah.
experience.
And
Yeah,
that's
because it
one
was a
thing
poem.
that
That poem was about reparations, and he was like, "So where can I get the book?" I'm like, "Okay."
That's fantastic. That's
it
fantastic.
is. And I love how you can see your passion, when you're talking about your book or when you're reading your poems, you can see that passion in your face. So I just encourage you to keep writing. Your work is phenomenal,
Thank
and
you.
it can be used in multiple places, like you talked about with students who struggle. I work with interventionists. I always encourage my interventionists to use poetry, like you said, especially with
Yeah.
older students.
Mhm.
It helps them not feel like they are reading baby books,
Yes. Yeah.
but they are reading, short things that you can really get to some higher level points with them, but
Mhm.
it can help them with their reading where they're actually finishing something where a novel may be difficult for
Yeah.
them to finish. So it gives them some empowerment too and helps build their confidence.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it might get them interested in reading because, like, honestly, when I grew up, even though I became an educator, I didn't enjoy reading.
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
get
Yeah.
it when kids are like, "I don't like to read." I'm like, I understand what they're saying. And it's
Mhm.
like it took me to connect with a book where I'm like, "Oh, this is interesting. It's not homework. It's not just homework. There's something, I found value in it." So
Mhm.
if that could be the entry point, then maybe then they can see, okay, I like this. There's got to be other things out there
Mhm.
that I like that I could connect with.
Great point. Dr. Houston, would you mind putting, I think she had mentioned about interest in I know we have some courses and some resources we want to share with our audience tonight.
Yeah,
The sample grant writing course for authors in there. And we
right.
have some other resources for everybody before we wrap up for this evening. This has been fantastic. You have
It
set the
has.
bar. You have set the bar with your book trailer. Okay.
She
And like
has.
when I say with the advice of just like throwing out what you think the rules are, that's where the even the title of it came from. Like, cause I'm like, right here, I'm like, I
Exactly.
just wanted, and there's some poems in there talking about African American vernacular too. So it's just yeah, get your thoughts out.
Okay, okay, okay. And you did
Yeah.
that. You did that. We greatly, greatly appreciate you this evening. We greatly appreciate your passion, your enthusiasm, doing it for the culture, as well as those helpful author tips that you shared as well, right? Like just throw away those misconceptions, those conceptions that you may have, preconceptions about writing and what
Mhm.
writing a book about, and make it your way. Do it,
Mhm.
do it, do it your way. Do it your
Yes.
way. And you'll find a lot of fulfillment, and it sounds like people will resonate with others as well. So
Mhm.
fantastic, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I've placed in the comments our newsletter, and this is one way that we help authors and educators connect authors and entrepreneurs to our educators, that we send our email blast out to multiple schools all around the country so that other people can find out about these great resources. We know that sometimes independent authors, of course, don't get that, you know, notoriety that some of the other places get when we get the catalogs in and we're just ordering from the catalog. So Create and Educate has been intentional about trying to lift the voices of self-published authors, and BK International has joined us in that. The other thing that we offer is after our newsletter, if you want to get more in depth, is a module course that tells you more about connecting with schools, tells you how to become a vendor. We try to create some equity around that because sometimes it's like I said, traditionalists. It's the same people, the same companies that have been used over and over again. So we offer that as well, our module course. So you can visit our website to find out more information. And BK International has a wealth of information about grants and helping you get grants that can even get your books into school. And I'll let Bejanae speak to that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna put something in the chat for Dr. Houston to share. So this past summer or early spring, we had a grant writing course for authors. And it's great that you're an educator as well, because I'm sure you're familiar with maybe having to spend out of pocket for classroom supplies. And so as a teacher, I found myself in the same space. But I was able to learn about, like, oh, there's funding. People are giving money to education. Oh, let me tap into that and see what this is about. And so I was able to hone those skills. And so now I help educators, authors such as yourself, who are looking to provide educational resources to schools, learn how to crack the code and learn the science of grant writing. It's super simple, especially if you're an educator. It's very similar to writing a lesson plan, and we unpack all of that in the course. So she's sharing that information, and it's also connected to our website. So follow us on socials, on Instagram, on Facebook. Check us out. Reach out to us. We would love, love, love to be able to stay connected and help to support to get our books into schools and into hands of our kids.
Definitely. Any closing thoughts or comments? We really enjoyed your passion, your poem, I love your work. Any last words?
Any last words? I just glad to be here. Thank you for having me in the space. I don't know if you want me to close out with Black Is.
Sure. That's one of my favorites. Go ahead.
And is it okay if I put the website, my website in the chat? Okay.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So I put the link tree in there.
Oh, you did? You put the link tree in there.
We got you. We got you.
Okay, cool. All right. So Black is expansive. Black is hair bonnets, do-rags, bone straight to afro to perms to coils. Black is in the kitchen, straightening your kitchen or displaying your kitchen. Black is country, city, and suburbs. Black is hiking, swimming, skydiving, double Dutch, smoke a Dutch. Black is the art of double reading books and reading people. Black is a Cadillac grill, wearing a grill, get out my grill and cook out on a grill. Black is handshakes and daps. Black is a head nod to say, I see the me and you. Black is unifying. Black is skin of pearl and skin of onyx, and still saying proudly, I'm Black. Black is a race, a color, and an ethnicity. Black is a whole number, not a fraction, not a half or a quarter. It's 100 without the DR, but including DR. Black is everywhere. Black is creative. Black is my history didn't start here, and we still stay creating. Black is transforming scraps into a world-renowned cuisine. Black is turning Tenon law into a fashion statement. Black is dance, can't dance. Braid, can't braid. Black is quiet. Black is loud. Black is enunciating every sound or not. Black is not, and Black is ain't. Black is working within the system, reforming the system, and are giving a middle finger to the system. Black is remembering the shoulders we stand on. Black is dope. Black is limitless. Black is. Black is. Black is.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. I love your work. So just keep doing what you're doing. You all give her some fire emojis in the chat. And shout out to all of you that have joined us tonight. Deidre Stover, Josh Tovar, principal from Texas, Ms. Dot McKeever Jeter. Thank you all for joining us. Central Hicks, Cabrina McShawn. I hope I'm saying that right. And another author that we connected with and interviewed is a poet as well. So you all may be able to connect. Randall Daniels, he has books of poetry as well. So you all please connect with her. I put her link tree in the comments. Support her work. Connect with her. She has great, phenomenal work. And if you are an author that would like to be featured or need grants, please connect with myself or Bejanae. So thank you all again for joining us. Thank you, Chanel. We appreciate you.
Thank you both. I appreciate it. And thank
Good
you
night,
everybody for
everyone.
joining. All right.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everyone.
Bye.